In Matthew chapter 20, we have a passage where the apostles James and John and their mother come to Jesus with questions about ambition, questions about leadership, opportunities. Matthew 20, starting in verse 20, the Bible reads, "Then came to him the mother of Zebedee's children with her sons, worshipping him, and desiring a certain thing of him. And he said unto her, What wilt thou? She saith unto him, Grant that these my two sons may sit, the one on thy right hand, and the other on the left, in thy kingdom. But Jesus answered and said, Ye know not what ye ask. Are ye able to drink of the cup that I shall drink of, and to be baptized with the baptism that I am baptized with? They say unto him, We are able. And he saith unto them, Ye shall drink indeed of my cup, and be baptized with the baptism that I am baptized with. But to sit on my right hand and on my left is not mine to give, but it shall be given to them for whom it is prepared of my Father. And when the 10 heard it, they were moved with indignation against the two brethren. But Jesus called them unto him, and said, Ye know that the princes of the Gentiles exercise dominion over them, and they that are great exercise authority upon them. But it shall not be so among you. But whosoever will be great among you, let him be your minister. And whosoever will be chief among you, let him be your servant, even as the Son of Man came not to be ministered unto, but to minister, and to give his life a ransom for many." So in this passage, James, John, and their mother come to Jesus with a request, with an ambition. They want to sit on the left hand and on the right hand of Jesus in his kingdom. And Jesus sees that their heart is not right. That though they are displaying ambition and perhaps zeal and desire concerning the kingdom of God, it is misplaced, it is misguided, it is not the ambition and desire that they should be expressing. Jesus explains that, Jesus says that if you want to sit on my right hand and on my left, are you ready to drink of the cup that I shall drink of, and to be baptized in the same way that I will be baptized? And almost without thinking, they say, We are able. Jesus is referring to how he was to drink of the cup of the wrath of God, how he was to be baptized in death. He talks of his suffering and his death, and this is the pathway to greatness in the kingdom of God. I'm not sure James and John truly understood what Jesus was referring to when he said this. This passage follows immediately after Jesus shares once again with his disciples that he is to suffer and die when they reach Jerusalem. And interestingly, James and John desire a place at the left hand and at the right hand of Jesus. It's only a few chapters later when we see Jesus hanging, dying upon the cross. And it says that on his left hand and on his right hand, the 2 thieves were hanging with him. I'm just paraphrasing. But to be at the right hand and the left hand of Jesus is to take upon yourself a place of suffering, a place of sacrifice, a place of self-denial. It is not, perhaps as James and John saw it, an ambition for power, position, and influence. But if you want to be great in the kingdom of God, it is to deny yourself in the life which now is. It is to not live for this world, but for the world which is to come. It is not to seek out glory and power, prestige, position, fame, influence, riches in this world. For where your treasure is, there will your heart be also. It is to seek those things which are above, to live for another world, to live for the kingdom by denying yourself in this life. Jesus goes on to say that the rulers in this world, the princes among the Gentiles, they exercise dominion over their subjects. They exercise authority upon them, speaking of how the leadership in the kingdom of man is one of domination and flexing your authority. We may have all had managers, bosses, perhaps parents, people in positions of authority that have abused that position, that have decided that because I have the title, I am justified to lord over you, to dominate you, to exercise my authority upon you. Certainly there are leadership positions, God-given. We have rulers, we have parents, we have pastors, and these are God-given positions. But we need to be very careful in being so quick to accept the privileges of those positions of authority, knowing that we are so easily corrupted. If we as people are given a little bit of power and influence, how quickly do we abuse it? How soon do we turn into a tyrant? How soon does it become all about us, where we expect those beneath us to serve us, where whatever we say goes, where we are the final authority, where we expect to be treated far better than others because we are better than them, right? Isn't that how we think? Isn't the respect of persons, as the Bible calls it, isn't that so prevalent in our world, in leadership in our world? Well, they have a title, they have a position given by other men, and we treat them differently. People that are beneath us in the hierarchy, we treat like dirt. People that are above us in the hierarchy, we perhaps envy them, but face to face, so often we show respect of persons, and we treat them so much better, almost like a god, than we would treat someone that we consider to be less than us. This is not how Jesus lived. The King of all kings. Jesus, shortly after, immediately after this passage, he's walking and two blind beggars cry out to him. They're crying out, and people try to silence these beggars. They say, "You're a nuisance. Keep your voice down. He doesn't have time for you." And yet Jesus had compassion upon them. Two blind beggars, who especially in that day and age would have been considered the lowest of the low. Oh, you're homeless and you're blind? What sin did you do? They probably deserve what happened to them. They're beneath me. Don't we think the same when we see people that are perhaps less privileged, less fortunate than we are? We look down on them. We think less of them. Oh, well, I have more money than you, so I'm better than you. I have the position and the title, so I'm better than you. Oh no, not with Jesus. He saw these two blind beggars and he had compassion upon them. And he showed what true leadership looks like. It's being a servant. It is being a minister to all. He gave them his time. He gave them his love and compassion and mercy. Think of the leaders of this world and think of how easily we are affected and misled and manipulated by the world's ways, where we strive for positions and titles, and sometimes we justify it in saying, well, if I have the position of a title, then I can help more people. But when we reach that position, instead of us helping them, we delegate the tasks out to others, and there might be a time and a place for that. In the book of Acts, they found godly men who could be responsible for the task of ministering to the widows, because they were laboring in the word and in doctrine. But when you see the way the world does it, where the politicians, the leaders of this world, they've got no time. They've got no time personally for the common people. They'll talk the talk. They'll say, well, I'm just like you, I'm with you. But they would never themselves be found serving and ministering unto others. They would say, well, it's not an efficient use of my time. It's not an efficient use of my power and authority. No. I'll delegate that out. I'll get someone else to do that because that is beneath me. Is that how Jesus served? Is that how Jesus ministered? No, he himself gave his time. He didn't consider it a waste of time. He didn't consider it beneath him, and he is God in the flesh. So, my friends, may we be very careful, very prayerful, very wise in how we approach opportunities to lead, and see them as opportunities to serve others, opportunities to minister to others, not as a means to lord over others, to exercise dominion and authority over them. Just look to Jesus, his example, the perfect leader. He didn't force people into following him, truly led by example. He led with love, he led with compassion, he led with righteousness. He always did what was right, he always said what was right. He had compassion and mercy upon others. He did not see people as a waste of his time. He did not see this world as a game to be played, to rack up the most money, the most positions, the most titles. No. We don't live for the glory of this world, we live for the glory of the world which is to come. We live for the glory of the King.